If you're a regular listener to the podcast, you probably know that I don't like repeating guests more than once in a year. Unless someone's involved in two very different projects, or is playing in multiple bands, or things like that, usually if someone's been on the show once in a calendar year, I don't get them on until maybe the next year, or even the year after in some cases. This is a little bit different though. Cellist Rob Knaggs was first on the show earlier in 2018, and the reason he's coming back on now is because it's probably the last chance I'll get to interview him while he's in Canada. Rob is originally from Australia, and he's being sent back there in the very, very near future. But before he goes, he's releasing another EP called For Sure, and he's playing a farewell show / CD release party December 8th at the Handsome Daughter. That show also features past Witchpolice guests, Two Crows for Comfort, who are also releasing their excellent album at the show. It's unfortunate that Rob has to leave Manitoba, because more than a lot of homegrown artists, he's really captured the feeling, the vibe, and the culture of this province in his music. So while he's going back to Australia now, hopefully we'll see him in the near future when he comes through on tour, and maybe one day if he becomes a Canadian citizen. We talk about that, we talk about his new EP, we talk about his entire experience, living in Canada, working in Churchill, writing music inspired by the Arctic culture, and much more. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who voted for Witchpolice Radio in the Uniters annual poll. This marks the third consecutive year that the show's been selected as Winnipeg's favorite podcast or radio show. And it's really, really awesome to see that people like the show enough to listen to it, let alone actually give us a vote in a poll like that. So thanks again, it really means a lot. Not just in terms of, having bragging rights over other podcasts or whatever. It means a lot because more ears to this show also means more ears on all the bands I'm interviewing. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. And I also want to give a big shout out to Papercut Podcast, who are doing a great job with interviews with all kinds of interesting local people in the art scene. And they finished second in the voting for favorite podcast. I actually thought they were going to win. I was expecting when I opened up the Uniter website that I would see their name on top. But they finished second, and they got an article written about them, which you should read. Definitely encourage you to check out that show. It's really good. And yeah, thanks again. It's pretty cool to get recognized. Hopefully I'll just keep doing the show at the same level of quality I've been doing, and people will continue listening. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our friends at the Park Theatre. Please visit myparktheatre.com to check out all of the great shows they have coming up. Thanks to everyone who's supported the show so far. Thanks to supporters like you, we can keep churning out interviews twice a week. If you like the show, please head down to patreon.com/witchpolice, and for as little as $1 a month, which is less than 12 cents an episode, you can help keep the lights on.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
Alright, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm back in the food court again with a guest who was previously on the show in the food court as well. It seems like this is the spot.
It's a regular spot for sure.
Yeah, and usually I don't like having people on the show twice in 1 year. And I think you were on, earlier in the year, but it was still within 2018. But this is a bit of a special circumstance because you're getting kicked out of the country.
Yeah, I have to take off, eh? So, yeah.
So what's okay? So I mean, for starters, people who maybe don't know who you are and what you do. You're originally from Australia.
Yeah.
You've been in Canada for how long?
About 4 years. This is my 4th year in Manitoba. Yep.
And you've been spending a lot of that time up in Churchill.
Yeah.
But you are being sent home, or you're going home, or what's happening?
So what I have to do is I have to leave Canada before my visa expires.
Okay.
But my visa's expiring in January, but I have to go home to play a festival in December.
Okay, so you're just going to stay?
So I have to stay in Australia because I can't come back with that same visa.
Right.
So I just have to be able to come back as a visitor. And that doesn't really cut it for me, hey? So,
yeah.
I've spent so much of my years here. And this is where I call home now. And it's hard to, take off. Just leave it all behind. So.
Definitely, yeah. Especially because you've been so involved, not only in the music community, but all the work you've been doing up north. I mean, you seem like you're pretty embedded in
I missed it. So I quit my job at the end of the summer season just because I missed playing music. I missed my girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was just really tough. I wasn't able to see her as much this time. So I quit and just decided to work on music and get the show out and do this EP justice that I'm putting out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Was the EP going to come out anyway?
The EP was going to come out at some point, but I felt like I wanted to give it justice and put on a good show just before I leave, and then I can gain momentum. And
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I do want to talk about the EP because that's a big part of why we're doing this. But
of course,
I am very curious about the whole process about coming in and out of Canada because I mean, what is the next step for you? Because after your visa runs out, you have to go back home, and then you obviously want to come back here when you can.
Yeah.
So what happens there? How does that work?
So it's actually putting the fire under my ass now, just because the only way for me to come back to work in Canada at this point is to be a performer.
Right.
Is to be an artist.
Which you already are. So.
Yeah, which I am. But what I need to do is be as impressive as possible so I can form a tour of Canada and then have like an end date and, just try and spend as much time as I can.
Okay.
So what that's forcing me to do is when I go home is play a bunch of shows, play a bunch of tours, be as impressive as possible, and then just try and get back into Canada and play a bunch of tours here. So yeah.
So is there any option to eventually come back here to work?
If the rules change or circumstances change it, sure, but I can't rely on that.
Right. So you just want to get here to play shows as much as you can. Then
Totally, yeah.
That's cool. So how long do you have to wait before you can come back? Is there a waiting period?
There is no waiting period. So what I could do is flagpole it if I really wanted to, but at this point I can't just because I'm playing these shows and, it's expensive to fly to Australia.
No doubt, yeah. I mean, I've never been, but I imagine...
Yeah, you got to make it worth your while to be able to come back and play shows. And, yeah.
And then this is like, again, totally outside of the performing thing, but is there a way you could become a Canadian? Like, I mean, is there a way is that something you're trying
Get
to
married?
do?
Yeah, totally.
That's the way.
That's everybody's waiting for that answer. Like, I keep dancing around the issue, but no, like getting married is ultimately how you do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was talking to an immigration lawyer, and he was like, "Well, you could try for PR, but PR is really complicated, so you might as well just get married." So like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how my dad got here. Yeah.
Yeah. No way. Right. Where's your dad from?
England.
Oh, cool. Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
Nice.
it's probably a similar situation. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure,
I was born in the UK and then raised in Australia. I'm just like running around the world trying to get as many passports as possible, eh? So,
yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's working for you. I mean, you definitely established yourself here.
Yeah.
At the very least.
I had no idea how much I was going to fall in love with Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Like, the only sort of basis I had for Winnipeg was with a Weekendance.
Right,
like, one great city. And I was like, it's a sarcastic sort of like, it's a love-hate relationship. But, Brisbane's kind of got that as well, because it's a middle city.
Yeah,
you got Sydney and Melbourne, but Brisbane has its own thing going on as well. Which is why, you come to Winnipeg and then you realize it's a world city. It's got all the world-class luxuries without as many people.
Well, it's just because it's isolated, right? I mean,
yeah.
Is Brisbane similarly isolated?
It's not isolated. So traveling in Australia is kind of cheap for air travel, well, compared to Canada.
Sure,
anyway,
sure,
so,
yeah.
But Brisbane's got its own thing going on. It's like 2.9 million people in population, so it's huge.
Is there, I mean, obviously, you want to be in Canada because it's inspired a lot of your music and all that. Is there part of you that is happy to be going back to Australia to perform some of the stuff you've taken from here?
I'm looking forward to going to the beach for sure, but that's only going to last as long as that. So that's fine.
Okay.
No, so it'll be fun to present this show and show off my new show. So for this show, for this EP that I'm presenting on December 8th, it's got a visual component to it now. So I've teamed up with Travel Manitoba and a Winnipeg company called Handcraft Creative, who do a lot of work up in Churchill where they film a bunch of stuff. So they filmed the Northern Lights and polar bears and blue whales. So it's got context now. My show actually has context. So this festival I'm performing at, called Woodford Folk Festival, they were listening to my music and they were like, okay, we don't normally suggest things to artists because, you're independent, you want to do what you want to do.
Sure.
But we suggest you have a show accompanying this. And I was working on something similar at the time, but I just didn't have enough time to go back and do that festival last year. So spent this whole year trying to conduct a show and get footage, and now it's looking great. Yeah, it's looking awesome. Yeah,
I guess it's very different from the usual process of someone just recording an EP.
Yeah,
because you have the whole picture of it rather than just here's the song.
It's a whole vision now. So and now it's just trying to like get everything in sync and make it as beautiful as possible.
Cool.
Like growing up in punk bands and trying to be as edgy as possible.
Yeah, sure.
That's great and all, but being a cellist, there was always part of me that was like, okay, I want to create something that's so eerie and beautiful at the same time. So,
and maybe go away from what people expect out of a cello.
Exactly,
which is kind of what I like about your music in general. I mean, a cellist, great. It's going to be, this.
But it's
not.
It's
much like deeper and
No, thank you. No. I'm excited to see what people think of this.
Yeah. So is the visual part of it happening here as well?
That's going to be the worldwide debut, I guess.
Right.
It's going to be cool. And it'll be interesting to see how Australians react to it. Like, my biggest thing when I put out the first record was like, are Manitobans going to enjoy this music?
Yeah.
And somehow they have, and it's awesome. It's really cool. Yeah. But presenting Churchill to Australians now.
What's so alien,
that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Like, we get tons of Australians coming up to Churchill. Like, it's one of the larger markets to come to Churchill. Yeah, it's insane. Maybe it'll inspire a lot more Australians to come up to Churchill.
That's cool.
It's going to become the new Whistler or Banff. I don't know.
I don't know about that, but it'd be neat if it did.
Yeah.
I think it may be a bit too north for that. But
actually, in my time since going to Churchill, there have been so many Australians coming up. In my first year, it was like 3 or 4. And now there are like 40. So
they have the trains back there now too.
The train's coming back. So we've got the freight train coming. We don't know when the passenger train's coming.
But it's
it's
not
on a roll.
As it's seen before, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that Winnipeggers and probably Manitobans in general like is seeing outsiders have a perspective on us.
Yeah.
I think whenever Winnipeg is mentioned on TV, everyone loses their shit.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that's maybe what people grasped out of your.
I guess so.
Here's someone taking what we would be taking for granted. Churchill's right there.
Yeah.
And putting a totally different spin on it because you're seeing it from a different perspective. I don't know.
No, it's cool to see, especially now that Winnipeg's starting to get a few more Australian acts coming through. We had Amy Shark and Tash Sultana and Ocean Alley come through recently. And, I've been talking to Winnipeggers at shows and it's awesome, we're getting Australian music now.
Yeah.
Even Winnipeg Folk Fest is booking a bunch of Aussies. And stuff. And now I'm trying to prod Winnipeg Folk Fest to take me on. I was like, hey, I'm Australian too, you can put me on. give you a reason to come back. It'd be awesome. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that would be a great reason to come back.
Oh man, I'd organize a show and I'd transcript all my music and give it to WSO and perform it at Winnipeg Folk Fest. That'd be insane. Cool, that'd be insane.
Yeah.
So,
have you ever tried something at that scale?
I haven't yet. So that's going to be the plan for the next record. Is I'm going to do a full album. I'm going to have a full orchestra, perform it with like a punk band or something. Make it like S&M or Bring Me to Horizon. They did a record with the London Symphony, and it sounds incredible. Like,
that's cool. Yeah, that'd be neat. Do you think that? Like, how have you been changed, I guess, by your experience here? When you go back to Australia, has anything changed about kind of your perspective?
I guess I'm friendlier.
But like the way you see things, the way you approach music, maybe. Like, I mean, has that changed? Are you going to bring something from this experience back there, and that will affect your music?
I feel like I've been more immersed in music since coming to Canada than I ever was in Australia. Despite doing a degree there, I feel like I'm more a part of a scene here in Winnipeg than I ever was in Brisbane. So it's taught me how to actually hustle and work in a music community and ecosystem there. Yeah. So, for instance, I was running around and playing a bunch of open mics and introducing myself, and the networks and friends I've made by doing that is awesome. Yeah, and that's what I recommend to anybody that's traveling around. Just play an open mic. That's pretty much how you make friends. Yeah, you just show up. Even if you just play wagon wheel or whatever, you're making mates.
And I'm sure there's a lot of those.
Oh my god, they do.
Wagon wheel.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the EP itself, where did you record it?
So I recorded it at Collector Studio in Winnipeg's West End. Awesome guys working there. So Will and Ant are great. Yeah. So they'll be coming along to the show as well. I'm excited to see how they react to it. So
cool.
Yeah.
How is it? I mean, compared to your previous EP?
Yeah.
For people who've heard that, is there any drastic difference sound-wise to this one?
Sonically, it's all me on this one. So the first record was with a band. This one's all me because I can't ship my band everywhere, unfortunately. Course, not yet. So they'll be listening to this and be like, "Oh, when are we coming on tour?" But yeah, this one's a bit grittier. So yeah, it follows a similar format. It's 4 songs on the EP. Trying to keep it bittersweet. It's a continuation, but yeah, looking forward to the next record too.
Does it have the same kind of direct, specific Arctic references? Or
so as opposed to just focusing on Churchill, this one's a bit more widespread, based more on my travels and what I've seen in those travels.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So there's a track called Ghosting on there. That's actually Song of the Week on Manitoba Music right now, which is pretty dark and heavy. So that one was based on justice and sort of environmental and Indigenous rights sort of movement. So my mom, before she passed away, she was working in native title in Australia to ensure that Aboriginal rights were, justified, and they were getting their native title rights back. So yeah, that's kind of what that. It's what influenced it. That's like a whole Commonwealth issue now. And as it's starting to become a little bit better, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So
for sure, yeah. 4 songs. Are they? How long are the songs? I mean, I think.
So the whole EP is about 19 minutes. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just short and sweet.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, so attention spans are shorter these days. So like,
Right.
I'm not going to put out a 90-minute record anytime soon.
Right.
But yeah.
But you have that. I mean, you play a style of music where that could be easily a thing that you could do, right?
Well, yeah, no, that's something I did notice. I went to the Tash Sultana show, and I realized, she's doing all this looping stuff, but you're still captivated by it.
For sure.
She was doing 20-minute songs. I was like, oh my god, like I'm still entranced in this.
Yeah.
And the whole crowd was there, and I was like, okay, I can take a little bit more time if the payoff is worth it as well. So yeah, you got to make it as exciting as possible at the end of the day. But yeah.
Have you always written relatively short pieces, or? I mean...
I've tried to. I think that's coming from my punk background, and just like, okay, so it's, you know, a song is 3 minutes.
Sure.
But punk songs are 2 minutes, so
you got to. 1.5. Or
Exactly. There was a band called Off who did like 20-second songs, and Extortion from Australia. They're awesome. No, there's definitely something in me that's like, okay, you got to keep it short and sweet and to the point. And, you know, whereas prog rock is like, okay, make it last 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Here's and 13 minutes of his one guy soloing or something. Yeah.
Like Tool's a band who do that.
Sure.
Like, unless I'm watching it live, it doesn't really pay off for me. So like,
sure. Well, and the reason I mentioned it with you is because you have kind of an atmospheric, you know, cinematic. I think you mentioned last time we were talking, quality to it, and that kind of lends itself to almost longer.
The live show would differ.
Yeah.
So like live shows, I can afford to take a little bit more time, but with recordings, I definitely want to shorten to the point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That
makes sense. Cool. And then is this? What's the time difference between when you release the album and when you actually take off?
So I recorded this in February, so it's coming out in December. I think I'm getting the CDs today. So the CDs just landed in Australia for the Australian tour.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so no, that was exciting to, you know, actually see the CD. And my uncle was like, can I actually listen to this now? I was like, no, you can wait like everybody else. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so hopefully the CDs are coming. They're not coming through Canada Post, so hopefully they actually
strikes aren't going to make
it's not going to make a concern there. So
that's cool.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But then after the show happens, when do you leave? Like how soon is it?
Okay, so the show's on December 8th. I leave on December 17th.
Okay, so you have a little bit of time afterwards. To
oh my god. So I there's a reason I did that actually. So before I came back to Canada, I had a show in Australia, my farewell show.
Yeah.
It was 2 days before I was leaving.
Okay.
No, never
Too much
again.
chaos?
Never again. Oh my gosh, I didn't sleep at all. So it was stressful.
How much stuff do you have to move? I mean, you've been here for.
I've been here for a while, so my girlfriend's kind of pestering me. She's like, "So when are you going to move all your stuff out?" I'm like, "I'm working on it."
So it's going to be tough. Yeah. Even just like,
even just like music gear. At the moment. It's all on Kijiji, and everybody's lowballing me. I'm like, oh.
Well, because they know you're leaving, right? You
exactly.
Should have gone under a fake name or something.
Pretty much, So.
And then you have Two Crows for Comfort. Playing the show.
Awesome band.
Great band. Yeah, I had them on a few weeks ago on the show.
Yeah, nice. Cool.
Really cool. How did that connection happen?
So I was booking bands at the Amsterdam Tea Room when they were doing a 5 o'clock fix on Fridays and stuff. Yeah, no, and they reached out and I was listening to stuff. Oh, this is great. This is awesome. And brought them in, did an amazing set. Then I had to leave to go back up to Churchill, and they announced that they were doing a soft release for their CD.
Which still hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was like, where do I get my hands on a CD? It's like, we'll send you one. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm in the middle of nowhere and you want to send me a CD? Amazing, cool.
And did it make it to Churchill?
Yeah, it made it to Churchill.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great, So I was playing that at a lodge all the time. So they were getting a lot of airplay to a lot of people coming from all over the world. And so we kept in touch, and it was like, we should do a show at some point when I get back. And I was like, how about my last one? And so they were looking at booking a show at some other venue, and they were like, who do we get to support? And let's talk about Rob. And you know, a day later, I messaged them being like, hey, I'm doing a final show. Do you want to play? And they were like, awesome, done.
Well, when I had them on the show, they were talking about like what they kind of were hoping to do in the future. And one of the things they said, we should do it. We were thinking maybe we could go to Australia and do a tour.
I'm trying to book everybody to come to Australia.
I'm like, I talked to a guy on the show before who was from Australia, and then it turned out that they were. That kind of led into the conversation about the CD release show and everything.
I wonder how many Aussies you're getting it on the show later. So we'll see. I will send them your way.
Yeah, sure. So come and
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Do you think that they are a good fit with you, like sonically for the show? Like,
sonically, for sure.
Because they're very different.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like there's an optimism and a sort of a bittersweet tone to their music as well. So,
sure.
Yeah. Cool. It's definitely a music lover's sort of night. So,
and it moved venues.
Yeah.
So what happened there? So it was somewhere really unusual at first.
Yeah, so it was at The Output, which is on the second floor of Art Space.
Okay.
Awesome venue. I played a show there with Tansy recently.
Okay.
Great venue for sound and visuals and stuff. But we ended up selling out the show within a week.
That's awesome.
Which, Two Crows and I were like, are we actually going to sell this out? We don't know. We were really hesitant about booking it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did it. A week later, sell it out.
Well, how big is that? It's like what, 50
So
people?
I'm going to say like 100 people.
Okay.
Yeah. But we sold it out within a week, and we had to move the venue to Handsome Daughter, which, it's only a little bit bigger than the output.
Yeah.
But Handsome Daughter were like, well, if you've sold out this show, you might as well do 2 in a night, right? And I was like, cool, let's go.
So how are the ticket sales going for the 2 shows? Are you almost sold those out?
So the first one sold out completely.
Cool.
The second one, we're getting there. So
nice.
Yeah, tickets will be available at the door. Come along, it should be fun. Yeah.
Is the daughter well suited for the visual aspects of what you're doing?
Yeah, so I've just been working with them. I was at the daughter last night, actually. And the visual should work. I just need a projection screen and we'll be fine. So, yeah.
How do you have someone who's kind of controlling that while you play, or are you doing that all?
No, that should be me, yeah.
Okay.
So for the festival, I've hired somebody to do that, but for this show, it'll just be me. So.
Just hoping it works behind you.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I had a controller that was meant to be working for it, but it just didn't work. So, yeah.
And then so once this comes out, I mean, obviously you won't be able to come to the shows to pick up a copy, right?
Yeah.
But how can people get it in Winnipeg after the fact?
After the fact, so I'm going to try and stock it.
Once you're going.
Yeah, I'm going to try and stock it at Instant Music.
Okay.
Or I could leave some copies with you and they could contact you. Otherwise, yeah, I've only got a limited amount of CDs for this show just because I am returning home. So.
Well, and half of them are probably home.
Well,
right?
more than half, but yeah.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I know you're joking about leaving with me, but I guess you probably have a lot of that going on where you kind of have to abruptly sort of leave the whole music scene, and you're probably just leaving a lot of people.
It's the bane of my existence, actually.
Yeah.
So I've generated all this steam and, trying to become a name in Winnipeg. And now I have to go.
Yeah.
So it was happening in Brisbane. It's going to happen again. So, yeah.
Until you, would you pick another third country now?
New Zealand, why not?
Start over again in New Zealand?
Well, actually, I was meant to be moved to New Zealand. My girlfriend was looking at doing her Masters in New Zealand, and that's changed now. So I was like, so we're starting to plan like how our lives are going to actually work now. So for the next couple of years, it's like, okay, she wants to go to Cambridge Bay and do a Masters there, and then she has to move to Guelph.
Well, and you're kind of in limbo too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tours it's not an enviable position.
Well, yeah.
I'm firmly ensconced in Winnipeg.
Yeah, what happens when a musician and a scientist get together,
Yeah, right. You're bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, like, I've got 2 weeks in 2 years. How about that? That's pretty much it. So.
That sucks. But, I mean, it's cool that you get to experience all this stuff. But it's just like, I imagine the stress level is...
but it's fun. It's never boring.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, when you said at the beginning, like, what you need to do in order to kind of get yourself back here with the tour and everything is just be as impressive as possible. Yeah. And what do you mean by that specifically? Like,
so I need to be able to email any venue in Canada and be like, hey, this is what I do, book me.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Just so you can get the whole lineup set up and then you can... Yeah, okay.
So there are a couple of festivals I reached out to last year that were interested in booking me, but I was up in Churchill at the time. Right. So it's just trying to get as many shows as possible to make it worth my while to come back. So.
Are you kind of done with Churchill for the foreseeable future?
No, never.
Okay.
Never.
Churchill is still the place?
Never. Yeah. So I've been bugging everybody to try and like get me back up on a charter flight or something like that, so I can do like one more show in Churchill before I leave. I was really hoping the train would start running before I left, but
hopefully it's soon, right?
Well, hopefully, yeah. If I play my show and there's a couple of days where I can still jump on a train, I'll do it. Yeah. So Churchill's awesome.
Churchill's probably a priority as far as tour dates. I guess.
Oh my gosh, yeah, totally. So that'd be the pinnacle of that tour next year. It's like, okay, so I have to play Churchill and a few other festivals on the way.
That's the big one though, the Churchill.
Yeah. So I really want to reach out to Shambhala because it's a dance music festival and it's pretty well renowned. But I feel like my music would work well in that aspect because it's soothing. It's kind of just put me in a bunch of trees with some lights.
Yeah, and a bunch of people are all cosmic anyway. And
exactly. So they'll get it. Like, I'm still imagining the sounds of humpback whales, floating through the trees and stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Is that still, the nature element of it is still pretty strong?
There's still a lot of nature to it, yeah. So a lot of this footage from Churchill is of a natural element.
Cool. Yeah. Do you think that once you go back, is that going to still be there for writing and everything? Or are you going to be drawing from other...
Yeah, so for the cycle of that tour, will definitely be Churchill-based. So the title of the show is now called The Wild Responds, which is looking at how nature is impacted by climate change and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So it seems like with a project like that, and with that kind of, your background of working in Churchill and incorporating nature into what you do, it seems like you have a good argument as like a cultural project to maybe not stay here, but to like get shows and get funding and get people interested.
Well, I keep joking about starting a petition so people can keep me here, but I don't know how much that's going to work. So
because it's not like you're a punk band where you're just playing 3-chord songs or whatever. Like you're doing something that has cultural relevance and is highlighting a often kind of unrecognized part of Canada. So The government should be. There should be some way you can get funding or.
I'll invite Trudeau to the show. We'll see.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems to sweep in whenever he wants to.
Totally.
Yeah, cool.
Just time it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. So, no, I've definitely got like Travel Manitoba and Tourism Winnipeg coming to the show, so they can check it out.
And that probably helps when you're trying to come back too, right? You have contacts in those kind of organizations who
for sure.
know you and you've done. Yeah.
Well, even Travel Manitoba are coming to Australia in February next year, so
cool.
I'll be teaming up with them and just hanging out, getting my Canadian fix.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling them to bring like 100 Timbits for me. But,
It's a long flight though.
Well, we don't get donut holes in Australia. It's not a thing. No. So.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's your calling. You need to start like a food truck and just sells Timbits.
Well, oh my gosh. So
on the back.
I've been joking about that as well as starting like a Manitoban fast food chain in Australia. So you got like chicken fingers and honey dill and donut holes and cinnamon buns and stuff like that. So pierogies, cabbage rolls.
Right. And none of that is there.
Not prevalent. No.
Huh. Yeah. I mean,
like,
it makes sense.
We get poutine. Like
right.
That's only become a recent thing that poutine's becoming prevalent.
But that's not very Manitoba anyway. That's more Quebec.
That's more.
Stuff.
That's more Quebec. But you wouldn't start a Canadian fast food thing without poutine.
You'd have to include that, I guess. Yeah. else is there that you're going to be kind of missing when you go back to Australia? I mean, aside from the Timbits.
The cold.
Yeah?
The cold. Give me the cold. Yeah,
Like
It's too damn hot.
Become accustomed to it? Yeah.
It's too damn hot. No, the cold is definitely my calling.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
Like, even talking to friends last night, I was like, oh, yeah, so my girlfriend wants to go to Cambridge Bay, and I want to go up to Inuvik and play at the Igloo Church. And they're like, you just chased the North, hey? Like, yeah.
That would be a really cool show, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So, Lights did a show there, like, 4 or 5 years ago, and it looks insane up there. And she performed with a cellist, and I was like, oh, cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So that's like the bucket list.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'd just do a tour from Inuvik all the way to St. John's or something like that. So that'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be really cool. Yeah. Well, hopefully you can do it. I mean, I hope you can.
Yeah, it sounds like a funding project. So
Do you? I mean, people who know you here and have been kind of played shows with you and things like that.
Yeah.
Are you going to be kind of encouraging them to help you book shows as well once you come back?
Oh, for sure. So Skylar Bouchard, he's been on the show a couple of times as well. He's awesome, eh?
Yeah. Great guy.
He did a tour this summer, which went from Victoria back to Winnipeg. To Toronto
a lot of house shows and stuff.
A lot of house shows, and my buddy Kevin Roy did something similar.
So there's
so there's definitely an infrastructure there.
Yeah.
So it's just reaching out to them and be like, okay, what shows works best for you? Would this work for me? Yeah.
Yeah. So. Is there any need to, when you're coming into the country on a tour?
Yeah.
Can you be doing things like house shows and get a whole bunch of them booked, or is that that's cool?
That's totally it.
It doesn't matter where you're.
Yeah, so there's a company called Home Route who organise those tours and stuff. I'm not sure if I can apply because I'm not a Canadian.
Right. You kind of are, though.
I'm a fake Canadian.
There you go. Just say you are.
Yeah, totally.
You're just visiting Australia.
But even then, like, Via Rail did like an artist on board sort of
that's
thing.
really cool, yeah.
And I wanted to do that from Winnipeg to Churchill, and there was a whole argument that, no, you're not Canadian, you can't do it. I even had friends who were in that sector and knew the Via Rail guys pretty well, and they were like, no, he's not Canadian, he can't do it. Stop asking, they're sick of me. So
what you're doing is much more like Canadian heritage and everything than a lot of other people are doing. I mean, you're focusing on Canada and it's getting inspiration from Canada.
Thanks. No, it's cool and nice to hear, but at the end of the day, I'm still an immigrant. So,
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
This knows everybody.
Exactly. We're a nation of immigrants.
You're part of the Commonwealth. It should just work, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm just waiting for that sort of crossover to happen.
Happens,
Totally. Yeah. Well, with the fallout of Brexit, my English passport's not good for much anymore. So But with that, there is a lot of immigration reform. It's like, okay, so what can Commonwealth countries do now? So
if that thing that they keep proposing ever happens, that would be great for musicians. It would be incredible.
Oh, for sure, eh?
Going down, go to Australia, go to UK, everywhere. Fantastic. Yeah. But unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I'm only just starting to learn how international musicians can travel and what visas they need to get. Apparently, the States is the only big one.
Okay.
Like the States and Russia both have their own very complicated visa issues sort of thing. But everywhere else is pretty much fair game. So, I feel like my music would do pretty well in Europe.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool to present Churchill to Europe. So
yeah, for sure. It'd be equally as alien as Churchill is to Australia, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably take it up to Iceland or Svalbard, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we get this all the time."
Yeah.
Totally.
We know what this is. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's funny because I have a friend who's in a band in the States, and he's come up and played a house show at my place.
Nice.
And I had to fill out some paperwork, and that was it. And it was like just saying I'm a venue, and it works. So, I mean, if that kind of thing is all you need, you hopefully should be able to make it happen, right?
Well, what I do need to do is when I come to the border next time is have a list of dates and a return flight booked.
And I guess probably phone numbers and contact people at every venue. I mean,
yeah.
Well, if you're in town in the summer, you can play my house.
Yeah, hell yeah, done. Done.
So, if people are, wanting to check you out before you leave, what are the details of the show again?
Okay, so December 8th at the Handsome Daughter, we have 2 shows. We have 2 Crows for Comfort. One at 7 p.m., which is completely sold out. But we still have tickets for the 10 p.m. show, which is going to be a party. We're going to have a bunch of balloons. I'm going to buy some food. The event is going to be sponsored by Little Brown Jug. So, Little Brown Jug are good buddies of mine. So, they want to be involved in the party.
Cool.
So, yeah.
And then if someone wants to hear your music, whether they're hearing this maybe after you've already gone back or they can't make it to the show, what's the best solution there?
So you can go to my website, www.robknaggs.com. And that'll link you to all my Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, what have you.
Cool.
I'm also available on all streaming platforms, and awesome.
Right on. Well, cool. If you want to hear more episodes of this show, including the one that Rob was on earlier this year, go to witchpolice.com. It's all there for free download and streaming. And you can also hear this podcast on UMFM on Sundays at midnight if you, feel like listening to the radio at midnight on Sunday, which you really should.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And good luck with
the
future of the getting back here.
Yeah, fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again, man.
Awesome.